Welcome Leonardo from Agritech Renewables, who is going to speak to us from Italy and tell us about an innovative solution in solar.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Leonardo Montesi, the founder and chairman of TEP Renewables. TEP Renewables is an international project developer headquartered in Warwick, with subsidiaries in Italy, Cyprus, and an office in Houston, Texas. What we do is we design, develop, and in some cases we build renewable energy plants, photovoltaic, wind, and start in the future hydrogen, green hydrogen plants. Renewable energy and farming go hand in hand, and have done so for many years now. But now is the time to embrace a new renewable energy technology development and integrate it into the agriculture sector. Today I'm joining you, I'm speaking from Melilli farm in Sicily. That is our latest project, which is focused on the renewable energy innovation specifically for the agriculture sector. Melilli is a farm of 86 hectares that we bought at the end of 2020 that we would like to turn into an agro-energy technology park. It's the first step in what we call in creating what we call the tomorrow's farm, a future-oriented laboratory for the study, experimentation, and application of innovative technologies in agriculture and the generation of renewable energy. In addition to exporting to the world markets some of the best products of Sicilian agriculture, like olive oil, table olives, oranges, lemons, cedars, and producing renewable energy using a new generation PV technologies, we want to become an aggregator and accelerator of innovation, hosting a campus open to young talents of all nationalities who want to engage in researching and experimenting new sustainable technologies applied to agriculture and the generation of renewable energy. Melilli's farm will be housing an agrivoltaic solar under REMTech technology, one of the key innovations that we are able to offer today and that we are determined and excited also to start offering to the UK market. This technology allows farmers to generate income from solar power with a minimal loss of agricultural land.
Thank you, Leonardo, for the excellent presentation and for the participants involved. Can we now have a greater understanding of why you think agrivoltaic technology is the way forward?
Well, Rachel, it's the way. I mean, definitely one of the key issues. I mean, for the future, is to find a balance between consumption of agricultural land and generation of clean power. We all know that whether it's true or not, I mean, it's a different question. That there always been, we always considered there is a sort of a trade-off. I mean, between agriculture and the photovoltaic technology, because the agrovoltaic, I mean, is definitely the answer for the future, because with the agrovoltaic, I mean, by putting panels at a higher at a higher height from the ground, I mean 4.5 to 5 meters, and thanks to a special software managing the shadow, it is possible now to farm grow crops underneath the modules. So this is the main benefit of the agrivoltaic. I mean, because by using this technology, virtually we tend to a zero consumption of soil. In addition to that, the agrovoltaic generation of electricity gives the farmers an additional revenue stream, either in terms of reduction of cost or revenue coming from the sale of electricity to the grid, which can improve the profitability of the agricultural activity and give the farmers additional cash, I mean, that can be invested into the innovation that is definitely needed if we want to really move to the next stage of the agricultural industry. There is no real limitation in terms of size. I mean, an agrivoltaic plant can be as small as a few hundred kilowatt of installed capacity up to multi-megawatt plant. I mean, selling electricity to the grid.
Specifically, why do you think this technology is good for the UK?
Well, first of all, in the UK, like any other country in the world, I mean, needs to invest into new renewable energy generation capacity in order to achieve the targets in terms of decarbonization. Next target, I mean, a next step, I mean, is going to be 2030, net zero carbon, I mean, by 2050, and so using photovoltaic technology that has not been used massively in the past in the UK is definitely important. So having a solution that allows to install plants, I mean, without consuming agricultural land, I mean, is definitely a good thing. What is important, I mean, is also essential to invest into agriculture. First of all, this is a result of the pandemics, because as a result of the pandemics, I mean, we have all understood how dangerous is to rely exclusively on import of goods from outside, and food doesn't make exception. In addition to that, I mean, for the UK, we have the Brexit, which makes extremely more difficult to rely on the import of food, I mean, and expensive, I mean, rely on the import of food, I mean, from outside the UK. Now, investing into agriculture, I mean, the new agriculture, or the agriculture of the future, the so-called, I mean, 4.0 agriculture, tomorrow's farm, they require massive investments. Farming community is continuing to invest in projects that can require also additional energy needs, and therefore the installation of agrivoltaic, I mean, can help to offset the cost of those additional energy requirements. But the agrophotovoltaic is also giving the farmers an additional level of income, which is important to make up the farming subsidy that rumors, according to rumors, I mean, stronger and stronger rumors that we're hearing, may be reduced or even cancelled in the future. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, everybody, for the attention. Enjoy the conference, and bye-bye from sunny Sicily.
We will now hear from Simon Matthews, an energy engineer, who will talk to us about the principles of a renewable project. Hi Hi Simon and welcome. Can you just give us a brief background and introduction, please?
Yeah, no, sure. Yeah, no, I'm Simon Matthews. I'm a chartered engineer. I've got about 25 years experience in developing, evaluating and implementing energy projects and solutions including space and process heating, power generation, energy from waste schemes, and more recently, more low carbon schemes. Yeah, fully conversant with and very much enthused by the opportunities we have within all sectors relating to energy and carbon these days.
Thank you, Simon. So when a client is looking at an energy engineering project, can you outline the aspects that need to be considered?
Yeah, no, sure. Yeah, when looking at any project and specifically from the energy engineering perspective, I think it's always important to perhaps consider it from three aspects. Firstly, it's important to fully understand the application or the requirement of that project. The second is to understand the drivers or the constraints from all stakeholders, the customer, the end user, and even the investors. And thirdly, I think it's not only important to focus on the project itself, but actually to understand perhaps the wider site operation, because there may be some benefits that could be considered there. So when considering developing an energy solution or technology, it's important to, as I say, understand the application and the customer requirements. And so from that point of view, it's important to understand, what's your energy generation for? Is it for space heating or process heating? What sort of temperatures are required? Because different technologies will dictate what temperatures can be achieved. For example, ground source or heat pumps, as an example, cannot generate high temperatures for certain parts of equipment. I have to edit that a bit,
right? That's fine, yeah. Okay.
Equally, it is important to understand, is there sufficient power capacity on site? So if you're installing, for example, heat pumps, you'll need grid capacity to expand, and therefore you need to understand if there's a local grid capacity available. Equally, you might be looking at power generation. So from that point of view, is there space and availability for putting PVs or siting a power generator in that respect? All these aspects and others will influence the best technology and solution for the application. Secondly, as I say, it's important to understand what the drivers are and the constraint of the customer and the stakeholders. And these could be, obviously, there could be a limitation on capital budget for the project, but equally, the driver could be for cost reduction. So you need to take that into account. And more importantly, or more recently, some of the drivers relate to CO2 reductions. And you could find that your customer or different stakeholders are requiring you to reduce your carbon emissions on site. So that could be part of the driver for choosing the right technology. Equally, you need to take into account planning and any other aspects that the customer may desire, such as renewables in space and what access is available. And thirdly, as I mentioned, I think it's important to not only consider the specific application and the project itself when looking at the different technologies, but also to consider the wider site operation of a site, if it be a farm or greenhouse or any industrial site, to understand if there's anything there that may be able to influence a good and technically viable solution. For example, it may be that there's fuel or feedstock that's being generated on site that could be actually used to generate heat and power. Equally, there may be opportunities to have a dual purpose solution, such perhaps utilizing a water or the heat from a water extraction borehole to be used with a heat pump application in the case of space heating. So from that point of view, it's important to consider all aspects and understand the application, the project in its entirety, and the customer's desires and requirements.
Thank you, Simon. Really interesting. So how would you define the best solution and evaluate the business case for a client?
Well, I think once you've understood the drivers and had good dialogue and understanding the application, it's important to develop the technical and commercial solution, to look at it from not only from developing the business case for the customer, but also any investors alike. And as part of that exercise, it's important to not only identify the technology and develop a design, but obviously build up the costs and identify the benefits of that project solution. And this is typically done by certainly obviously looking at the heat and power demand, understanding the peak demands, but also looking at the energy profile or the projected energy profile, i.e. the daily, weekly, monthly and annual projected consumption, because it may be that it's not always best to size perhaps the renewable technology or more capital intensive technology at the peak demand rating, but actually look at it from an average demand and supplement it with more traditional plants such as boilers. Clearly, it's important to understand the fuel source. Have you got the grid electricity capacity available? Where you're going to, if you're looking at a biomass solution, where you're going to get that perhaps waste wood or natural wood to be used within your biomass in that respect, before you move on to your technical design and obviously develop your project costs. And what is also important, I think, in anything, is to fully evaluate the full life cycle costs, i.e. not only the initial capital costs for a project, but also the projected energy costs and operational costs, because they will all impact on how you consider and evaluate and ultimately rate the return on that investment.
Thank you, Simon. That was really interesting. Thank you, Simon. We will now hear from Denise from Free Energy, who will talk to us about AD and their new technology with helping both the carbon target as well as providing waste solutions. Hi, Denise. Can you provide a brief introduction, please?
Yes, hello Rachel. I work for Free Energy. The FRE bit stands for Farm Renewable Environmental Energy, and we specialise in anaerobic digestion and associated technologies. Our patented technology actually overcomes the limitations of mainstream AD technology, and so building on our successful deployment of several plants across the UK, we're now positioning ourselves in the market as a farm AD whole system approach.
That's really interesting, Denise. Thank you. So when looking at an AD project, can you outline the aspects to be considered?
Well, first and foremost, we have to a quick look-see as to whether it is feasible. So obviously the setting, the location, will the proposed site meet the regulatory criteria for planning permission and environmental permitting? Predominantly, we're considering at the moment incorporating the AD as a whole system within a dairy farm setting. So the dairy provides the slurry on a day-to-day basis, and so that's a good feedstock for the anaerobic digestion process. The other things that we have to consider is what else is available. Mainly on a farm, there's a lot of farm generated wastes like slurries, manures, and also you might want to bring in other feedstocks, for example, chicken litter. And when you co-digest these different materials, you can actually generate a lot of usable outputs. So the biogas that is generated from this process can be used as usable electricity and heat, or it can be just used through a biogas boiler to generate heat. And then also, of course, there's the added value of the material that's left over after the process, that's digestate. And that's an extremely nutrient-rich fertilizer. And I suppose also the other consideration is that we have to look at diversification. This technology allows the farmer to stay focused on their core business and still allows them to diversify as well. So so what's special about our technology over and against anybody else's? That's a question that's often asked of us. Well, our technology allows routine wastes that contain grits and silts that are present to be processed without having to stop the tank to desilt. Because obviously if there is a lot of grit and silt in these wastes, it will silt up the tank. Our technology allows this to be removed in process, and so therefore it eliminates the downtime to have to empty the tank. Also, we have designed low energy mixing, so all the energy that we are producing is for the benefit of the farmer's business. Another aspect of technology is what's called a foam alleviation system. Foaming is a phenomena that's often experienced in this type of process, and it's mainly due to high strength feedstocks, processing high strength feedstocks. And again, our technology can deal with this routinely, and so therefore, again, it adds this flexibility to the farmer for using this type of technology.
That's a great explanation, Denise, thank you. So how would you define the best solution and evaluate the business case for investing in this type of project?
Well, first and foremost, the farmer, obviously has to want one, understand why. Historically, we've all been heard about the renewable and financial incentives that the government provided. Well, those have gone. That's history. And so moving forward now, we have to look at how we can incorporate this technology into a farming business. And so the farmer will want to look at both the tangible and the intangible benefits that this brings to their business. It's not just a very efficient waste management system, it's also a pollution abatement. The characteristics of pollution abatement characteristics really brings added benefit to the business in terms of the digestate, eliminates or reduces at least the need to bring in chemical fertilizers. It provides self-sufficiency in terms of constant energy and heat generation. And again, this enables the business to withstand fluctuations in milk prices, because even if the milk prices go down, the cows still have to be fed and watered, and they're still producing slurry. So let's utilize that energy productively. And so we need to also consider the environmental credentials this brings to the farming business, especially for farmers who are providing supermarkets, supplying supermarket chains. Increasingly, environmental credentials are extremely important. Also, we find that where we have anaerobic digesters installed, we find that the locals very soon become very supportive of the technology and the diversification it can bring to the local area.
Fantastic, Denise. That was a really good summary. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Denise. We will now hear from Bradley from Omni Heat and Power, who will give us a tour of their premises whilst explaining ground source heat technology.
Hello, my name is Bradley Martin from Omni Heat and Power. We are a heating and electrical contractor specialising in renewable energy projects. Some of the kind of project we work on and the things we have worked on in the past are biomass boiler installations. Here you can see some pictures of a 1.2 megawatt biomass boiler we built a few years ago, providing process heat for a drying application. Heat pumps, including ground source, air source and water source, used for a wide variation of applications, including space heating and process heating and cooling applications. Anaerobic digestion, where we have designed and built our own on-farm systems, as well as being a contractor to other manufacturers and suppliers. Battery energy storage systems, where we have installed systems from 1.25 megawatts, 1.575 megawatt hours, and worked on installations as large as 50 megawatt sites, which provide balancing services to the national grid. District heating installations, with experience using a mixture of pre-insulated steel, PEX, Fiberflex and PPR pipes, with our largest installation to date requiring 7 kilometres of pre-insulated pipe. Control panels to mitigate and overcome complex restrictions around on-site generation. This panel shown here is controlling 3 generators for a site which had restrictions for incoming power and grid synchronized generation, which was less than the power requirements on site. The solution was to provide a panel which provides a seamless transfer from on-grid to off-grid, allowing the business to continue to expand with its power requirements. Where we add a lot of value is we have the in-house capabilities of fully building and simulation of our installations on the computer first. This includes full 3D modelling, which allows all parties involved to visualise the proposed physical installation. In addition to this, we are able to simulate fluid flows throughout the installation and pipe work to ensure the correct flows and heat transfers are getting to where they need to be, as well as confirming correct pipe and pump selections, as well as similar simulations on electrical installations ensure correct cable sizing and so on. One of our unique selling points is the ability to build our own control panels in-house, allowing us to do things our competitors struggle with and providing better control of the equipment we install. This means we can get better value and efficiencies out of equipment that others simply cannot. When we are looking at a project, we first need to get a full understanding of our clients' motivations around the project. They are typically one of the following: new business opportunities around renewable energy, carbon reductions in meeting internal and external reduction targets for the carbon intensity of the business, usually around ISO 50001, energy cost savings, making better use of available energy on site, whether this is excess solar generation or waste sources on site. Once we have a better understanding of the client's drivers and motivations, we can then narrow down a solution. As an example, this is one of our case studies. The client's driver was to make use of solar that was being exported to the grid, find efficiencies in the existing system and reducing waste, and to finally reduce the cost of energy for the business. When we first spoke with the client that had 700 kilowatts of solar PV installed already, a 1 megawatt chiller providing chilling to stored vegetables and approximately 50 LPG, gas and oil boilers dotted around the site, providing heat and hot water for office and seasonal worker accommodation on the site. It was immediately apparent that there was an opportunity to capture the rejected heat from the chiller and use this to provide the heating and hot water, replacing all of the boilers around the site with a single plant room and district heating, distributing the heat around the site to the individual points of use. Our solution was to install a 1.5 megawatt heat pump. This was able to provide the -6 chilled water required for the cold stores, as well as providing all of the heating and hot water requirements for the site from this single machine. In situations where there is a requirement for heat but not cooling, the installation included several kilometres of ground source collector pipe to provide this source energy for the heat pump. For situations where there was a call for cooling but no heat, the installation could dump the excess heat into the ground, charging it with thermal energy for use later when it could be used. At the time of installation, this also qualified with a renewable heat incentive for any heat generated and used within the rules of the RHI scheme. The solution changed the cost of the business to approximately £110,000 a year for LPG and oil, for heating to zero, as well as replacing the chiller with a machine that could satisfy the chilling load more efficiently. Control has also been incorporated to make use of any excess solar generation with the heat pump to store chilled water or hot water in buffer tanks installed in the plant room. This installation was also provided as a complete prefabricated plant room, delivered to site in 3 parts, meaning the disruption on site was minimal, which was especially important due to COVID-19 and the critical nature of the business. Working with Rachel at Midlands Asset Finance, the project was financed quickly and efficiently for both ourselves and the client. When financing a project, we have found it is always important that the people involved with the financing the project have a good understanding of what the project is and its goals and objectives are. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me and hear about our company.
Thank you, Bradley. We will now hear from Nigel from Regenico, who will demonstrate some of the large commercial solar installations he and his team have built, along with an introduction from Ian Taylor, ex-Villa football player, who is on a mission to help the carbon net zero target.
Hello, I'm Nigel Price, owner of Regenico. It's great to speak to you today on the Agritech platform. Background to Regenico is the fact that we started in 2009. We were one of the first major installers of commercial solar, both on industrial rooftop and agricultural rooftop. Our customers have included major brands such as Kingspan, National Express. Our most recent installation, for example, was last year during COVID on one of the Nissan's major suppliers, Unipress, which was a 14-acre rooftop and a 5 megawatt installation. We're delighted to say that during these difficult times that was completed successfully in September of last year. So what can we do to help you and your business, and how we can make that develop during the forthcoming years? And the answer is, by installing solar, you can improve your business by saving money on your electricity and reducing your carbon footprint and looking after the longevity of your business for generations to come. So how does solar actually work? Solar works by light. It's a bit of a myth that people think it's all heat related because it's connected to the sun, but it's actually all about light and it's photovoltaics. So every time the sun comes up, solar works, and of course it stops when it goes down in the evening. But the good thing is that as long as the sun does come up, you can generate power. So it's clean, it's green, it's very, very easy to install, and it's very, very effective. So what to look for when you are looking to make a solar installation for your business? If it's going to go on a roof, the roof has to be able to structurally take that solar installation. So it has to be sound and robust. If it's a old roof or a wooden frame roof, it might not be suitable. And if it's not suitable, it's not the end of the journey. What you can do then is to look to install your solar on ground. And the ground solar can work at an optimum angle, as long as that space is not going to be used for anything else. It's not obviously got livestock or anything else around that, then that can be a suitable area to generate solar power for you. When you are generating solar power, obviously that can feed straight back into your business, and it will come straight back to you as a priority over going back out to the grid. So you are the main beneficiary of solar at all times. Is it difficult to install? No, it's not at all. Our teams come in and we can install solar very quickly, very swiftly. We do all the work if it's planning required, and there's only planning required if it's going to go on the ground. You do not need planning if it's going to go on your roof, so that's an advantage to installing solar on your roof. But we do all the planning work for you. We do all the work in connection with the DNO, which is the district network operator. So you need permission from the grid to install solar, but we will take care of all of that. And we can be away installing solar for you quickly and effectively within weeks. So we hope that Regenico can help you with your business.
One of the original intentions of setting up a farm shop and cafe here was to create the Deer Park as a destination for people to understand and learn about British countryside and farming within it. And as part of that, I do see alternative energies and reduction of carbon footprint as an important message. The south-facing rooftops on our big farm sheds were ideal for positioning solar panels to power our energy requirements for the new diversification project at the Deer Park. We have a good south-facing roof on the farm shop cafe building, which we're hoping to install solar panels on this spring.
Hi everyone, Ian Taylor here. I know you can't get to matches right now and life is quite dull. I'm just getting over COVID myself, so I know how a lot of people feel. It's made me think about a lot, and one of those things is making it my goal to be carbon friendly. Every day we turn on the news and another ice cap has melted or somewhere has overheated in every way that David Attenborough has described. I'm going to help change our planet for the next generation of players, their children and sport in general. I'm proud to announce that I'm now an ambassador for leading renewable experts, Regeneco. Regeneco offer carbon solutions at no cost and have the added benefit of huge savings on customers' electric bills, sustainable solutions that are free, saving money and carbon. A hat trick in a renewable sector, something that I've never managed. To make this work, we all need to get involved and act fast. That's why with Regeneco and teamwork within the football family, we can make a difference with what is happening to our planet. Please stay safe and be careful out there.